Kuzampo everyone, and welcome to Bhutan e-learning project. I am Dishanongmo. I'm here with a lesson on the topic Sonnet for Key Stage 5, classes 11 and 12. At the end of this lesson, dear boys and girls, you should be able to tell what a sonnet is, tell 4 primary types of sonnets, tell the characteristics of Shakespearean sonnets, identify the rhyme scheme and metrical pattern used in a sonnet, explain the functions of quatrains and a couplet, distinguish between Shakespearean sonnets and modern sonnets, and be able to use the characteristics of a sonnet to comprehend the sonnets given in the text. Let us now first try to understand what a sonnet is. A sonnet is a lyric poem comprising 14 lines and is written in iambic pentameter. Each line has 10 syllables. It has a specific rhyme scheme and a volta, or a specific turn. The term sonnet originated from the Italian word sonetto, which means a little song. The 13th century poet Giacomo da Lentini is credited with the sonnet's invention, and the Sicilian school of poets who surrounded him is credited with its spread. The writers of sonnet are usually called sonnetiers. Originally an Italian form, sonnets have remained vital since its development in the 13th century. Francesco Petrarch was one of the masters of this form. There are 4 types of sonnets. Number 1, the Italian sonnet, which is also called Petrarchan sonnet. The Italian sonnet or Petrarchan sonnet comprises an 8-line octave of 2 quatrains that follow a rhyme scheme of A, B, B, A, A, B, B, A, followed by a 6-line sestet rhyming C, D, E, C, D, A, or C, D, C, C, D, C. The transition from octave to sestet usually coincides with a turn in the argument or the mood of a poem. This turn is called the volta. Let us familiarize ourselves with few names of stanzas used in a sonnet. A stanza with 2 lines is called a couplet. Stanza with 3 lines is called a tercet. Stanza with 4 lines is called a quatrain. A stanza with 6 lines is called a sestet, which is usually made of 2 tercets, and a stanza with 8 lines is called an octave made of 2 quatrains. The next type of sonnet is Shakespearean sonnet. Shakespearean sonnet is also called the Elizabethan sonnet or English sonnet. The Shakespearean sonnet or the Elizabethan sonnet or the English sonnet comprises 3 quatrains and a final couplet with the rhyme scheme A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. Here, the turn comes with the final couplet, which might sometimes achieve the neatness of an epigram. An epigram is a small poem with a witty turn of thought. The third type of sonnet is Spenserian sonnet. A Spenserian sonnet comprises 3 interlocked quatrains and a final couplet with the rhyme scheme A, B, A, B, B, C, B, C, C, D, C, D, E, E. The rhyming words introduced in one quatrain must inform rhymes in the subsequent quatrains. The 4th type of sonnet is Miltonic sonnet. Miltonic sonnets usually examined the internal struggle or a conflict rather than the themes of the material world or the external world. And they would sometimes stretch beyond the traditional limit on rhyme and length. We will now look at the characteristics of Shakespearean sonnets. Number 1. All sonnets have 14 lines that can be broken down into 4 sections, namely 3 quatrain and a couplet. Number 2. Shakespearean sonnets always have the same rhyme scheme, with the rhyming sound being at the end of each line. To identify the rhyme scheme, assign a letter of the alphabet to each rhymed sound at the end of a line. If that sound is repeated later on in the poem, that particular line will receive the same letter. The three quatrains in Shakespearean sonnets have 4 lines, which use an alternating rhyme scheme. The final couplet has just 2 lines that rhyme with each other. Therefore, the rhyme scheme for Shakespearean sonnets is AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. To understand this better, let us do an activity. Are you ready for the activity? We will use Sonnet 18 by William Shakespeare to identify the rhyme scheme used. You have the sonnet on the screen. Let us read the first quatrain together, shall we? Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling birds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? In line number 1, we will assign letter A to the first sound day, since this is the first sound. Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Temperate is a new sound, so assign the next letter B. Rough winds do shake the darling birds of May. The sound May rhymes with day, so assign the same letter A. And summer's lease hath all too short a date. Date rhymes with the end sound of temperate, so assign the same letter B. Therefore, for the first quatrain, rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B. Let us identify rhyme scheme for the second quatrain as well. Line number 1. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines. Shines is a new sound, so we will assign the next letter C. And often in his gold complexion dimmed. In this line, dimmed does not rhyme with any end sound or word, so we will assign the next letter D. Let us read the next line. And every fair from fair sometime declines. Here, declines rhymes with shines, so it will receive the letter C. The fourth line, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. Untrimmed rhymes with trimmed, hence it will receive the same letter that was given for line number 2, that is D. Therefore, the rhyme scheme is CD, CD. Even if the sonnet is not broken down into sections, we can use this rhyming pattern to see the distinction in the division of lines into quatrains and couplet. For the next quatrain, that is quatrain number 3 and the final couplet, I want you all to do it as a self-assessment activity. This poem is there in class 11 textbook. The third characteristic of Shakespearean sonnets is sonnets are written in iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter is a poetic line with 5 metrical feet. All feet are iambs. An iamb is a metrical foot consisting of an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. A syllable is a unit of pronunciation having one vowel sound and can be said in one breath. For example, the word God has one vowel sound and it can be said in one breath. Whereas the word mother has 2 vowel sounds and it takes 2 breaths to say that word. Therefore, we can say the word God has 1 syllable and the word mother has 2 syllables. A metrical foot is a set of stressed syllable and unstressed syllable which is repeated in a given number of times in a line of verse. To explain iamb again, an iamb is a metrical foot consisting of unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. The word attain is an example of iamb. When we say the word attain, we stress on the second syllable and not on the first. So we say it as attain and not attain. Stressed syllables are also called strong syllables or accented syllables, while unstressed syllables are also called the weak syllables or unaccented syllables. In poetry, meter is the basic rhythmic structure of a verse or lines in the verse. It can be described as a sequence of feet, each foot being a sequence of syllable type, such as unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. The basic meter in sonnets is iambic pentameter. The first word in this phrase refers to the kind of metrical fruit the meter uses. When it is used as an adjective, iamb becomes iambic. The second word of this phrase refers to how many metrical feet there are in a line. It can be accomplished by attaching a prefix to the word meter. A meter with 1 foot is called monometer. A meter with 2 feet is called dimeter. A meter with 3 feet is called trimeter. A meter with 4 feet is called tetrameter. A meter with 5 feet is called pentameter. Shakespeare used iambic pentameter. Let us take a line from Sonnet 18 as an example. We'll look at the first line. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? This line has 10 syllables. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? The syllables are arranged in a sequence of unstressed syllable being followed by a stressed syllable. A set of stressed syllable and an unstressed syllable makes 1 foot. When we have more than 1 foot, we call it feet. This line has 5 such sets, so we can say this line has 5 feet. Hence, it is a pentameter. And we already know that a metrical feet consisting of an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable is called an iamb. This line is an example of iambic pentameter. The stressed syllables are highlighted in red color, while the unstressed syllables are highlighted in purple color. The next activity for you all is to identify the metrical pattern used in Sonnet 18 and 29 for class 11 students and the metrical pattern used in Sonnet 55 and Sonnet 60 for class 12 students. To move on, we have already learned that Shakespearean sonnets can be broken down into 4 sections, namely 3 quatrains and a couplet. These quatrains and the couplet have their own functions. The first quatrain sets a topic or establishes the subject of the sonnet. It also presents a proposition or a problem. In the first quatrain of Sonnet 18, the speaker has presented a problem regarding the shortcomings of a summer day, that summer is not a sufficient way to describe the beauty of his beloved. Second quatrain develops the subject of the sonnet or elaborates on the problem that is mentioned in the first quatrain. In the second quatrain of Sonnet 18, the speaker has elaborated on the shortcomings of a summer day. The speaker has also expressed the temporary nature of summer, which is otherwise very beautiful. The third quatrain addresses the problem presented in the earlier quatrains and resolves the issue. The speaker here presents a contrasting view on the nature of beauty. This turn in the opinion is called volta. The speaker here assures the eternal beauty of his beloved, unlike the beauty of a summer day. The speaker expresses that nothing can ruin the beauty of his beloved, not even death. The final couplet acts as a conclusion to the sonnet. It drives home the resolution. This particular couplet immortalizes truth and the literal beauty. The lines, "So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee," states that as long as we live, this sonnet will continue to exist. And as long as this sonnet exists, it will continue to give life to his beloved. The speaker is trying to express the grand power the verses possess, that writing can triumph the decay of time, that it can outlive time. So I hope you understood the functions of quatrains and the couplet. With this, I have an activity for you all. You will read the sonnets again, the sonnets mentioned earlier again, that is Sonnet 18 and 29 for class 11 students. Sonnet 55 and 60 for class 12 students, and you will try to practice the pattern of the functions of quatrains and the couplet in order to comprehend the text. Next, we will look at the distinction between Shakespearean sonnets and modern sonnets. Number one, both the sonnets have 14 lines, but Shakespearean sonnets use iambic pentameter, whereas modern sonnets are mostly written in trochaic tetrameter. Trochee is just the opposite of iamb. So trochee is a metrical foot consisting of a stressed syllable followed by an unstressed syllable. Tetrameter is a meter that has 4 feet. Number 2, Shakespearean sonnets use the rhyme scheme AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. Whereas the modern sonnets are normally written in blank verse or free verse. When the metrical pattern is used, but the rhyme scheme is not used, it is said to be written in blank verse. And when neither the metrical pattern nor the rhyme scheme is used, it is said to be written in free verse. When both the metrical pattern and the rhyme scheme are used, it is said to be written in verse poetry or verse form. The third distinction is with regard to language. Shakespearean sonnets are written in early modern English, where some words have retained its original form while others underwent change. Modern sonnets are written in prose poetry, which means it is written in prose form rather than in verse form, but without failing to preserve the poetic qualities. We will now look at an example of a modern sonnet, To My Mother by George Parker. In this poem, we can see he has used his own rhyme scheme, and the number of syllables is also not even. It is written in prose poetry. Octave and sestet are made of a long sentence each. Now, let me recapitulate my lesson. We have learned what a sonnet is, 4 primary types of sonnets, characteristics of Shakespearean sonnets. We have also learned how to identify the metrical pattern and rhyme scheme used in a sonnet, in addition to learning the functions of quatrains and the couplet in a sonnet. We wound up our lesson by looking at the distinction between Shakespearean sonnets and modern sonnets. With this, I have come to the end of my lesson. I hope you will carry out the follow-up activities given to you all. Thank you so much. Take care, stay at home, and stay safe.